Hello, fellow gamers, and welcome. In this series, we're gonna be looking at doing a vanilla playthrough of Factorio. I'm not gonna be using any mods or anything like that, just simple playthrough, go step by step through all of the technologies, all of the research steps, and yeah, launch a rocket, and maybe a bit afterwards. We'll see. Uh, Without further ado, let's dive into a fresh game. We're gonna go free play, and I'm actually not gonna change the settings at all. We're gonna go with default terrain. We're gonna have enemy enabled, enemy expansion enabled, evolution enabled. It should set a bit of a challenge, but not too much. And yeah, the only thing that I want to make sure I have research queue availability always, which is going to be a default setting in Factorio 2.0. Anyway, so let's get into this. First thing we want to do is we want to collect all the resources that we have in our crashed spacecraft. I'm gonna press the Alt key here to see where the resources are located and see more details of buildings in general. And for those of you that are new to Factorio, what we have to do is basically collect resources. We have our starting area right here where we have a few patches of resources. We can also see a few enemy bases here that are quite close to our home. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, our basic resources are iron ore and copper ore. And we also have stone and coal here. For the beginning, the main thing that we want to focus on is on mining iron ore and turning that iron ore into iron plates. Now, the way we're going to do that is that we're going to use stone furnaces. And to access this menu, I'm pressing the E key. And we'll already have a few items available here. We have a stone furnace and we have a burner mining drill. Now, in order to get resources from a resource patch, we can either right click and our character here is going to start mining manually, but that's very slow. So what we can do is we can use a mining drill, and that will, I'm using the R key to rotate and Shift R to rotate counterclockwise. And we can place this anywhere on a resource patch, and well, we're gonna see a big fuel icon here, which means that this building actually needs fuel in order to work. And if we hover this slot here, we can see what type of fuel we can use. And well, as luck has it, we can actually have one wood on us. So we're gonna use this here and we're gonna see the mining drill start working. And if we look very closely here, we can actually see that it outputted one iron ore, but well, now it stopped because waiting for space in destination. So it has nowhere to output this. Now, there's a few places where you can output ore. You can build a chest here, and that's gonna output straight into the chest. But at the very beginning, we can actually output straight into a stone furnace. And if I place the stone furnace here, you can see that the mining drill is outputting iron ore into the stone furnace. Now, I have ran out of fuel, and also the stone furnace needs fuel. It's the same type of fuel. So let's go find some fuel. Now, a very good source of fuel at the beginning is, well, we can obviously go for trees, but coal is a much more efficient fuel. As you can see here, well, not there, sorry. But if we go and harvest tree, we just go over here and right click on a tree and we're gonna cut the tree. If we look at the tree, we see that it has a fuel value of 2 megajoules. And if we go to our coal patch and mine a bit of coal, we can see what the coal value, what the energy value is for the coal. Now I've mined one coal and well, it has doubled the value of the tree. So let's put that into our mining drill. And one way to do that is click here and then just drag and drop it. But another way to do it is we select our iron ore and then we drop it on the mining drill using the Z key. That will just drop one item. One very good way of getting coal at the start of the game is by searching for these huge rocks. And you can see on the right hand side that it's gonna output 37 coal and 37 stone. And that's a very huge value. So what I also like to do is I like to put the coal on my hotbar. So the way I do that is I just click it and then go to my hotbar and just click on which slot I want to press place it on. And now I can just use the hotkey. So it's 1 to 0. And if I press, now I generally like to have it on number 4. And now I can just I'm just pressing Z to drop one item at a time. I can also use Control right click, and that's gonna drop half the stack, or just Control left click and that's gonna drop the entire stack. And now you can see that our stone furnace is producing iron plates. We have plenty of coal, we have plenty of iron. Our mining drill is working. We can see the fuel consumption rate here, and we're producing stone plates. Why are we producing stone plates? Well, we're producing stone plates to be able to build more mining drills. So if we look through our recipes here that we have available at the beginning of the game, we have burner mining drill recipe, and that requires of us 3 iron plates, 3 iron gear wheels, and 1 stone furnace. And if we click to build this, Factorio is automatically going to build the required dependencies for us that you see listed in orange there. So we don't have 3 iron gears, we don't have a stone furnace, but if we click here and look at the bottom left corner, you're going to see that Factorio is going to build all of them in order, and well, we have a burner mining drill now. I'm also going to build another stone furnace and just place it on the ground. I'm going to steal half the stack from here. I do that using the right click, and I'm just going to place the whole stack inside of the other drill. Now, stone furnaces use a bit less fuel than the mining drills, so I'm actually going to take half the stack here, and I'm going to place the remaining stack inside of the mining drill. And I've just rebalanced the mining drill so that they have equal fuel. Also, in order to pick up resources, I can either go into this interface and collect it like this, but I can also pressing Ctrl and just drag and while holding left click over the buildings, and that's automatically going to pick up the resources in the buildings. As you can see now, I have quite a few iron plates, 51 iron plates. Let's build a few more mining drills. Now we have 2 mining drills here mining iron, but as you can see, we need fuel for them. This stone furnace is already out of fuel, and there's not much fuel left in the mining drills either. Let's get a few more. but we don't want to be reliant on searching for rocks everywhere. So what we're gonna do now is I'm actually gonna mine one coal, and then for coal, there's a very nice trick that works in Factorio where you can put two mining drills feeding into each other. So this mining drill is going to output into this mining drill, and this mining drill is going to output into this mining drill. So if I place one coal there, you're going to see that this one has started working, and now this one has started working because they're outputting into each other. So let's leave them working for a while. I've seen a few more rocks here. Let's go grab them. They're a very nice way to get a boost of resource at the beginning of the game. Now, this is only a stone rock, but it gives us quite a bit of stone, so I'll get these as well. And the goal for this episode, I'm gonna keep it quite short. I'm not gonna go too much, is to actually be able to do our first research. And our first research is going to be automation. Factorio is a game that's all about automation. We don't want to be doing things manually. We don't want to be picking rocks the whole game long. We don't want to be chopping trees the whole game long. We want to build machines that's going to do that for us. And I've just collected a few basic resources, just like a few trees, a bit of coal, quite a bit of stone actually. And now I'm just gonna take all the coal out of the mining drills. You can see that they're now back to one coal each, and I'm just gonna build a few more mining drills. I'm gonna build 4 mining drills and 2 furnaces. Now, the way I've placed this, I can use Q to get a ghost of whatever building I'm hovering. So if I'm hovering the stone furnace and press Q, I'm automatically gonna get the stone furnace blueprint, and I can just place it, and I can also left click, hold the left click and then drag it, and that's gonna place all the buildings that I have available. Now, if I get Q again on the stone furnace, I don't have any more stone furnaces with me, so I can see a little ghost icon over on my cursor, which tells me that I'm gonna place ghost images. More on that a bit later. But I'm gonna do the same thing with mining drills. For mining drills, while I'm on a resource patch, I can also just press Q while on the resource patch, and that's automatically gonna pick the mining drill. And again, I'm gonna build 2 of them. I'm just gonna distribute these resources inside of my burners and miners. I have a fair bit amount of resources here. Let's put a few more in this one because it only had 4 left. And let's go on to our next resource. Our next resource that I've mentioned at the beginning is copper. So we have a very nice patch of copper ore here. Let's head down to that patch. And we've already automated quite a bit. We have iron producing for us. We have quite a bit of iron here. Now let's build just 2 mining drills for copper. So I've placed down two drills for copper. Just gonna pick up whatever resources we have here. Maybe just wait for a bit until we get 10 copper plates. I think that seems like a fair number. And let's talk about research now. In order to do research, we need a few things. Let's first take a look at the research tree. Now, this might look intimidating at a glance, and we're not gonna dive too much into this right now. The only technology that we're interested in is, well, we can see here what technologies we can research in yellow, what technologies we cannot yet research because they have some dependencies that are not yet unlocked. At the very beginning, we want to unlock automation. Now, this will allow us to build assembling machines, which are really awesome. Assembling machines allow us to craft things automatically without having to craft in our inventory. So let's select this technology for research, and we can see here that we need 10 automation science packs. And it's gonna take 10 seconds to research. What are automation science packs? So in order to access the research tree, we can always press the T shortcut or just click at the top here. So what are automation science packs? Well, if we go to the third tab here, we're gonna see automation science packs, and it takes us one copper plate and one iron gear to craft an automation science pack. So by now we already have a few copper plates. 10 is more than enough. I'm just gonna gather a bit more wood. Let's go to 50 wood, just so that we don't have to bother with this for a while now. And well, how do we actually use these research packs? Well, quite easy. We have to build a laboratory. And it requires quite a bit of resources. We can see that it requires iron gear wheels, electronic circuits, and transporter belts. And we can also see the total raw requirements for this. And that is 36 iron plates and 15 copper plates. Unfortunately for us, we actually have that. So let's start by crafting a lab. And I'm also going to queue up, and you can see that it queued everything up here to build electronic circuits, iron gear, transport belt, and finally the lab. I'm also going to queue just one automation science pack for now. The mining drills are full now. The stack size for the call is 50, so once the stack goes to 50, it can no longer output. So we have that waiting for space in destination message again. I'm just gonna grab this. We now have 100 coal, which is really awesome. Our iron drills are still working. That's really good. Let's grab a bit more iron plates. That's awesome. And let's place down our lab. The first thing we're gonna see is a new icon here, which is the power icon. I'm gonna drag our automation science pack into the laboratory. But well, one of the requirements we see when we hover the lab icon here is that it has a max consumption of 16 kilowatts. So that means we need electricity for this. How do we get electricity? Well, that's quite simple, I would say. We get water, we boil the water, and we spin a turbine, which is basically how we get electricity in real life. Well, one of the ways of getting electricity in real life. So in order to do that in Factorio, we need 3 buildings. We need an offshore pump, which we're gonna place on a lake, and that's gonna get water for us. We need a boiler, which is gonna heat up the water. And we need a steam engine, which is gonna convert that steam into electricity. Now, a couple of other things that we're gonna want to have is just a couple of pipes and a few electric poles to actually distribute that electricity. Now, I'm just gonna go really fast and grab a few more copper plates. And I'm also gonna build just a couple of pipes. So just a small tip, you can left click to build something, and that's gonna queue up one of that item. You can left click, and that's gonna queue up 5 items to be built. You can shift left click, and that's gonna queue up the maximum amount you can build. You can also click here, and that's gonna cancel items from the build queue, just one. or shift click again, and that's gonna cancel the whole queue. Now, unfortunately, the mining drills have run out of coal, so I'm just gonna put a bit more. We have quite a bit of copper here. Let's build a few more electric poles. I'm just gonna grab a bit more coal here. Yeah, that should be plenty of coal. Oh, this one has run out of fuel. And let's go to water. Now, the closest source of water is probably here. So let's go and we're gonna put the offshore pump. You can see in green the places where you can actually put an offshore pump. I'm gonna put it this way. And I generally like to leave a bit of a gap from the offshore pump using an underground pipe. And then we're gonna put the offshore pump, we're gonna have it, now, the boiler, sorry. So the boiler has inputs and outputs, which is, you can already, you have probably already seen that on the mining drills. They have like an arrow, which is the place where they actually output their ingredients. For the boiler, we have three inputs and outputs. Now, we have this arrow here, which is where the steam is gonna come out. And then we have a double arrow here, which is basically the boiler acts as a pipe as well. So the water will just flow through the boiler from left to right or right to left. And what the boiler is going to do is the boiler is going to get water. It also requires fuel, and we're going to use coal. And you can see that it's going to start consuming the coal, and if we look at the output section at the on the right there, you're going to see that it has an output of steam. It outputs 60 steam per second, and the output is full right now, 200 out of 200. Now, I'm not going to go too much into the math right now, but well, we can see that the max consumption for the boiler is 1.8 megawatts. And if we look at the steam engine, the max output, sorry, it's 900 kilowatts. So if we time this by 2, it's 1.8 megawatts. So one boiler can supply enough steam, exactly enough steam for 2 steam engines. So I'm actually going to build just another one now and wait for it to be built, and we can see that the steam engine also acts as a pass-through for steam. You can see the small icon of steam on the bottom and on the top. So we can just put 2 steam engines together, and well, I find this a bit misleading actually. It says that the steam engines have no power, but what it actually means is that the steam engine is not connected to an electricity grid. Now, in Factorio, the electricity grid is overly simplified, and basically what it needs is a power pole coverage that you can see that the power pole has a blue square underneath it, and that's a square of, I think, 3 by 3 radius, and that's the power distribution area of the electric pole. So once the blue square is in the range of the boilers, you're gonna see that they highlight, and once I put the pole down, the engines are now connected, the steam engines are now connected to the electricity grid. And if I click on the power pole, you can actually see a few statistics here. We're producing 1.8 megawatts of power. We're currently not consuming anything because this power pole has no consumers attached to it. And what we're gonna do now is we're gonna take electricity from this boiler setup all the way down to our lab, which has no electricity. So the way we're gonna do that is I'm gonna queue to get a power pole ghost, and you can see that the power poles have a limited range. So if I try to place one here, they're not connected. If I try to place it here, you can see a wire going between them, indicating that they're connected. So I could just go and click every time they're in range, but a nicer way of doing this is if I just left click and hold the left click down and I start moving, the game will automatically start placing power poles at the maximum range. And I like to have a nice setup, so everything to be square, and I'm just gonna go straight left here and then go down. Nice pattern, and I'm just gonna move the lab slightly, and I'm gonna make sure that I'm putting the lab at least over at least one power pole. You can see that when I'm hovering, the power pole gets highlighted, indicating that the lab is in the coverage area of the power pole. Let's put it here, and I'm gonna put a one sans pack here. You can do the same with a Z key just to drop it, or just control click to drop everything. And you can see that we have research now. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna queue up 5 more sans packs, and sorry, 4 more sans packs and another stack of 5. Now, the reason why I did this is when I queue up 5 sans packs, it's gonna build 5 gears, and only then it's gonna start producing 5 sans packs. Whereas if I click them one by one, it's gonna do them in sequence. And the reason why I did that is I wanted to start getting to get a new automation sans pack right away, so we can start researching and then wait for the others to build. While I'm here, I'm actually gonna put a bit more coal and put the rest of the sans packs in, and we can see that we've already researched 4 sans packs. Our research is at 50% and we're almost there. We're just gonna wait for this research to finish, and in the next episode we're gonna be looking at automating a few of the things and expanding our production of resources and iron plates and copper plates and coal. And with that said, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you here next time.